Lows tonight in the lower 60s. St. George near 102 today, mid 70s tonight.
Dodgers first baseman Freddie Freeman is parting ways with his agency. Major League Baseball Players Association sent an email to agents on Freeman's behalf ordering agents not to contact the player. Freeman is listed within baseball's central system as currently being self-represented. 2020 National League MVP expressed anger and sadness that his negotiations ended with him playing with a team other than the Braves, which he was with for years and years. That's sports.
And just like that, it's Wired Wednesday.
Good morning. It is. And what a beautiful day it is. These days are my favorite days by far. A little bit of cloud cover, some moisture, theoretically. And just really peaceful. One, we haven't had wind in almost 10 days now. Right? Like substantial wind, where we went 2 or 3 weeks with substantial wind. And it's brought some really good things. People always cuss the wind and never bless the clouds or bless the rain, I suppose.
I do bless the rains down in Africa.
Fair. Good morning. This is McKenna Hansen with Wired Wednesday. And you know what's not happening today, at least so far, is fire. Fires haven't happened. We do have the Left Fork fire, which has thankfully been contained,
Well,
I think
quite.
up to 40%.
40% containment, and I'm expecting, because it looked like they were getting some rain yesterday, so...
Theoretically.
So they usually update mid-morning, and I can't wait to see...
Right.
Better
A little bit of progress on that, especially with the plane activity and Cedar City being the longest airport between Salt Lake and Las Vegas. We get a lot of fire plane activity. Even as far as Flagstaff, I believe, our planes will go in a big circle.
We actually have now a Type 1 or Type 2 helicopter here.
Type 1.
Type 1 helicopter.
That's stationed here in Cedar City through the fire season. And I guess that contract's going to go several years. Is that right?
I didn't hear about the duration, but I know.
I think I heard 5 years.
Which is just really exciting. And it's really exciting that we're up to our knowledge base on fire and everything else. So, just a quick recap. From, I think, February to now, you can still go and purchase chicks. Okay? We've had chicks. Like chickens? Chickens, right?
Okay.
Chicks, okay? I have had a long-standing debate over the last few months of how long they actually need to have a heat lamp. In Iron County, there have been over half a dozen structural fires caused by heat lamps. So this has been a big discussion in the ag community of how long chickens really have to be heat lamped for, okay? And talking to a variety of, I'm going to say, chicken farmers, from your smallest to a couple of chickens to your largest of a few hundred chickens, okay? You only have to have them heat lamped, literally, until they've feathered out. Not any stages in between them. And if you have established chickens that have feathers and you're having chicks with those, you don't have to have them heat lamped. Because chickens love to be together. They're kind of like sheep. When it's cold, they'll huddle together. When it's hot, they'll spread out. They are a great, self-sustainers, basically, right? So I encourage those people that are going and getting a chick kit from your local farm stores that has the heat lamp and the dividers and the feeders and the things. Know when you have to have that heat lamp on and when you don't, because there have been plenty of fires. One of my old colleagues, in fact, burnt her house down because of a heat lamp. Like, completely down because she had it too close to the house. Now, there's barns and sheds and outbuildings that catch fire every day. Now, whether you put it out yourself or you call the CCPD or CC Fire Department, it goes through those different things. You're at a higher risk for having structural fires when you have heat lamps. So please ask your local fire department how close those lamps can be, should be, what not be for your chickens, because after they've grown feathers, you don't even have to heat lamp them. Even in the cold, even through wintertime, you do not have to heat lamp them. There are chickens in Wyoming that survive in 5 feet of snow without heat lamps, guys. Do your research, do everything else. So, swinging back into July.
So,
go ahead.
Do they really survive in Wyoming?
Yes. My little brother has a dozen or more chickens. And when they're cold, they'll huddle together, and which is sometimes good and bad because they will suffocate each other. They are a bird, but they go outside when they're even in 10 and 5 degrees. they'll go outside and forage. So they're an incredible animal, and yes, you need to have them in a protected box, but it doesn't necessarily have to be heated if you have, enough to make them heat themselves, basically.
I have forced air heating in my chicken coop.
Forced air heating in
Yeah.
the chicken.
Yeah, HVAC, all that.
Oh man, well your chickens are spoiled.
Must be very good chickens then.
Yes, very good chickens. They must produce your eggs year round.
And a good egg is hard to beat.
Yes.
Hey, introduce our guest to us.
So, yes.
Absolutely.
In studio today, we have Greg Orloski from the Cedar City Fire Department, and we want to talk about fire. And it's fire season. Although we have cloud cover today, we've had some really good dry winds that would have been, detrimental to some of the fire activity that can happen in the area.
Frankly, Left Fork didn't start; it was reignited.
Right, by the
Because-
wind.
By the wind, yeah.
Right. So, and it goes into, say, a lot of different things and knowledge base around, the upcoming fireworks season. I mean, we're less than a week away from fireworks season.
In fact, we had little displays last night in our neighborhood.
Well, and let's go through those kind of rules, Greg, because
Absolutely.
after, I think it was in California, I saw, people got evacuated from a neighborhood because people were hoarding fireworks.
Well, that's last year, right? They were illegally importing the fireworks for sale, and they
In
conducted a raid, and they found a whole truckload.
a
of
residential
fireworks.
house.
Residential neighborhood next to a school.
Wow. It's
Yeah.
incredible what you don't know to know. So, Greg, walk us through
Absolutely.
fireworks season. What's it going to look like?
So, just a quick overview of the approved fireworks sites. So we've got the south parking lot of Cedar High, the parking lot at Bicentennial Softball Park, the south parking lot of Canyon View High School, the west parking lot of Cedar City Aquatic Center, the parking lot at Iron Springs Elementary, and the east parking lot at Bicentennial Soccer Complex. So there's a couple of new additions on there. You were mentioning the folks in your neighborhood. So discharge times and dates. So between the hours of 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. except as noted. So between July 2nd, July 5th, there's those dates and times. July 22nd, July 25th. Same, 11 to 11. Now on July 4th, it extends to midnight, and July 24th, it also extends to midnight. So there is a wonderful new public relations representative for the city that's been hired. She's our public information officer also, Gabrielle Costello. She has a wealth of knowledge now that she's been setting up on the cedarcity.org webpage. And one of them now is for fireworks. So if you go onto the cedarcity.org webpage and go under departments, fire, public information, and then fireworks, she has a breakdown of the information that I just gave you, in addition to a nice interactive map. So if you look at the fireworks restrictions, it says non-public, private, or state and federal lands, and then it goes into detail. On her webpage that she's created, there's an interactive WUI map. So everybody wants to know what WUI is. I look at Tim over here and he's got a question mark. So
No, I'm assuming it's like GUI. It's some kind of user interface type thing.
it's a acronym for Wildland Urban Interface. So what does that mean? So if you look out in your backyard, your side yard, and there's trees, more than likely, not trees that you planted, of course, but if it's in an area where I'm looking out right now through the window here on the east bench, you might be in the WUI interface. So in order to get that question answered, if you go to that site and look at the interactive map, it will show you those interface locations. Also, there's layers where you could color and change the map to your questions. For example, unincorporated Iron County, which I live in, and our neighborhood does not allow fireworks, so we cannot shoot them off. So I'm suggesting that if you're in those areas, highly suggesting that if you're in an area, I'm looking out the window again where there's grass that's over a foot, 2 feet tall, right across from your residence. go to these areas that are approved for fireworks. So also in the areas, they'll have dumpsters that we set up to put your spent fireworks. Obviously, don't stick them in there immediately after they're used. If you've got a bucket of water, great. But at the end of your show, go ahead and send them right over to the dumpster, but preferably after they're cooled.
So let's go through that really quick. The WUI is really prevalent in Cedar City because we have a lot of old forage here.
Correct.
Around the area. I mean, the Cove neighborhood is considered in the WUI. Even some parts of Mesa Hills and Lay Hill are considered in the WUI as well. Excuse me. Because of the different tree systems and the different forages we've allowed to be there, or a part of, the wild and the preserve type things that have gone through there, especially out in Westview Estates. A lot of that area is still in the WUI because you have the natural and the undisturbed vegetation. We're in the peak of wild rice season right now, and that's everywhere. I was walking across the city provided paved trail from the east, Greens Lake Road, all the way over to 400 East, and all of that is covered in wild rye and foxtails that are no longer green and lush. They are dry and dead, and that is a huge concern of mine. Correct. Just because that neighborhood is a huge area of population. There's a lot of dense R3, R4 residential through there. You're affecting a lot of people's homes. If you do let off a firework, it catches grass on fire and or a structure on fire, it's going to be multiple losses. It won't just be one.
Correct. So common sense is the theme. If you've got those areas surrounding your house, it's just a good idea not to even try and set them off in that area. They are okay in the front of your residence, but like I said, we highly recommend you taking your fireworks because you do not want to have that happen to a neighboring resident or residence, and you might be charged with the suppression costs for that wayward fire, which was a case of a couple of years ago where we had people with good intent. The firework fell over and shot up into the hill on Fairview right by the golf course, and it burned down the backside of Mill Hill. So that was right in the middle of an extreme event that we had, where we had at least 60 calls within 2 to 3 hours for fireworks.
Well, and it just goes to show, and especially let's kind of reiterate that outside of Cedar City limits, even in the Iron County area, like in the greater Iron County area, no fireworks are approved. Correct. Period. Correct. And state, federal, and even private land outside of those areas are not approved for fireworks at all.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you look at that map that I suggested there, that interactive map, it really shows you the amount of restricted areas that you cannot shoot fireworks in.
So let's take it back, because everybody's hearing doom and gloom. We can't do fireworks. We can't do this. Now, if my brothers were listening to this show, they would tell me that I was a fat liar because I love fireworks. I am a pyro. I have been a pyro since I was about 8. I love fire. It's very entertaining to me. It's very mystical. It's everything. Fire and fireworks is really cool to me. Okay, I love fireworks. However, given the developments in technology with fireworks, given the accessibility of fireworks, and my adult awareness, I will say, to those, we have to be adults, guys. We have to step into the bigger shoes and really protect what is out there, because it's as simple as a gust of wind and it's out of control. It's as simple as doing a good intention. You kind of go back to spring cleaning and some of those things. Or like the Bryan Head fire. I hate to bring that case up, but that was over 17 million acres, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And that started with good intention. We got, classified a national emergency, and it was all because somebody was trying to do a little bit of good in his own yard. Mm-hmm. So think of the big the big bad thing that could happen down to the microscopic thing that you have control over, go to the approved locations for fireworks. Make sure that you're dousing them appropriately. Again, those approved locations are the Cedar High parking lot, both Bicentennial parking lots, Canyon View High School parking lot, the Aquatic Center, and the Iron Springs Elementary parking lot. It really is those. We're trying to set people up for success here in celebrating what I hold true to my heart. You know, I am an American, and I love celebrating that I'm an American, which goes into kind of what Rory was saying. What was the percentage?
38%.
38%.
38%. But you guys got to take into account, right? Voter turnout, even for Iron County, was an entire 34%.
I'm actually going to put that to rest. So far, the
far.
results you saw last night are maybe half of what's going to be coming in.
Oh, good. That means we're better at voting in Iron County.
So one other thing, I just wanted to put a plug in for the show that the city sponsors is right out at the airport. So, you know, save your money. Go buy yourself a meal. Bring your family out there. I would suggest the east side, little areas where you could see.
Aviation Way. So park along Aviation Way.
Park along Aviation is a good spot. Lund is going to be very busy, and 1600 are very, very busy. People are putting their trailers up starting today. They will park a trailer. They will either walk or drive down to that trailer, set up their chairs, and they will park and be there and
For
enjoy
the fireworks
show.
show.
Absolutely.
Oh,
So-
how awesome!
Yeah.
That's super classy
Yeah.
of Cedar City, guys.
So
That's
we
awesome.
in fact, in previous years, we would stay ourselves, the firemen enjoy the show with our families. They have sponsored now, the city has, to where they have a company that comes in and sets it up and shoots the show. But in turn now, because of the congestion in those two streets, we actually leave with the trucks before the show starts because we cannot get out of the area if we have a call.
Which
So
is
we
kind of
stage.
smart.
Yes.
I'm not just kind of smart. That's
It's-
very
we
smart
have
of
to do
us.
it. We have to do it. We stage in various areas throughout the city, and then when we get a call, okay, one truck's in that area, they'll take the call. So if there's nothing happening on one side of the city, for example, that truck that's over there may have to go into one of the areas, which we did a couple of years ago. We ran up and down the street. So if you see, another good plug, if you see a truck with the lights on, pull over to the right.
It's not a light show, guys.
It's not a light show, please, yes, we need to get to our locations. And one other thing that does happen, and the police are helping us tremendously in this effort, is there are multiple fires that happen, and the first thing people want to do is flock right over to that fire that's happening. So they're blocking the roads, and don't get upset if you live in the area. There are ways to get home. We don't want you to get into an area where it's of danger to you. So that's why they're starting to help us block those roads. In addition, we've got to get a hydrant that might be across the street or down the street from a residence. We need to take a hose from that to the truck. There might be hose strung across where you're trying to drive. And we do want those hoses run over with vehicles.
Correct. And just make sure if you are in one of those neighborhoods that people are not parking in front of the fire hydrants. There should be a 10-foot on either side of the fire hydrant. You shouldn't be parking right in front of one because it's more than likely somebody's going to remove your vehicle not very nicely.
Cite you for sure. We had an instance over by Cedar High where we got a complaint from a neighbor, and we went and looked at it, cleared it to make sure that it was very visible, painted the street, the curb right in front of it, and by the time we got down to the other end of the street, there was already a car parked in front of it.
Just, fire safety is making sure that you are aware of what's going on, aware of what is legal and what is illegal. Again, those approved fireworks sites are the South Cedar High parking lot, both Bicentennial parking lots, Canyon View High School, the Aquatic Center, and Iron Springs, to make sure that we are accommodating those illegal areas such as private, state, and federal lands. Again, in Iron County, aside from Cedar City limits, all fireworks are banned. The best source of knowledge is on cedarcity.org, departments, fire, and public information, and then it'll take you through the fireworks and approved locations again. Please be aware of what's going on as you celebrate our nation in going through the 4th of July and the 24th to celebrate the state's establishment. It's such an honor to be able to do these things in the free country that we live in and having our freedom of everything throughout our July season for fire.
So one other important note, in the past, the Enoch fire, or the Enoch area would fire their show off the same night as Cedar. They've separated it now, so we'll have ours for the 4th and they'll have theirs for the 24th. I
Oh,
believe it might be
okay.
on Saturday the 23rd.
Okay.
Absolutely. So there's 2 shows you could see for free.
All right.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us for Wired Wednesday.
And if folks want to get a hold of you, MJ.
This has been McKinnon Hansen with Farm Bureau Financial Services, your local insurance guru, I guess. My number is 435-592-2021, specializing in commercial and farm and ranch. Thank you for joining us for Wired Wednesday.
All right. And don't go away just yet. I got some questions for you. All right. One last.